I lean towards the Lord first before anything, you know, and the Lord gets me through.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back to the Extraordinary Drummer Show. I gotta tell you, my guest today and we already having fun before we start the show. Y'all should have been here for that. Please help me welcome to the Extraordinary Drummer Show a dear friend and an awesome drummer, Darryl Woolfolk. Hey, Darryl.
What's up?
Darryl, I've been waiting so long to get this right. I kept the script of how I wrote it out like 2 years ago.
That's funny. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Definitely.
How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good. Just trying to make it through this pandemic, like everybody else out there. We just waiting to do what I do again.
Darryl, I was reading somewhere you were actually born in Germany.
Yeah, Heidelberg, Germany. Yeah, me and my older sister was born in Würzburg, Germany. And my brother Andrew was born in San Antonio, Texas. And I have a little sister, Kimberly, was born here in Denver.
Now, remind us, your brother. He's pretty famous, huh?
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, Andrew Woolfolk, Andrew Paul Woolfolk the second, saxophone player in the group Earth, Wind and Fire for 20, 30 years. I don't know. It's a long time.
Have you ever played with him, like on a gig, like on a major
Yeah.
gig?
Well, we played with Mickey Howard once together. We played with Philip Bailey together when Philip was doing his Christian tour. Um, I did one gig for Philip. It was in Greenbelt, England, and Andrew was playing on there also. We would do little gigs here around town um, in Denver every once in a while, but I didn't get to play with him a whole bunch. Yeah.
How did he appreciate playing with his younger brother, and his brother is a pro and can play the heck out of a drum kit?
Well, as we got older, that appreciation started coming out of him. And the funny thing is, I'm 8 years younger, so I was always, kick the little brother to the curb, little brother, like, oh, your little brother. And it's funny, we would have conversations, and he realized, like, you're a grown man now, just like me, and our lives were very parallel. And so that made us bond even more closer as we got older, opposed to back in the day, when I was just little brother.
Let's go all the way back. Speaking of little brother, how did you get started playing drums, and do you remember when you got your first drum kit?
Oh, that's a good question. Before you even asked that question, I was reminiscing about that. So, Denver, Colorado. I was sitting in, I was in elementary school, um, sitting in the classroom and opened the intercom. They were, doing the announcements, and they said, yes, and we're going to start teaching drum lessons, and different musical instrument lessons. And so that just lit my fire, and I went home and asked my parents if I could start drum lessons, and they were like, yeah, because, my brother was already involved. And so got my practice pad, the one with the circle with the tilt on it, the wood piece with the tilt on it. And I got my practice pad, started practicing those rudiments, single stroke, double stroke, triplets, stuff like that. And so um, I was very persistent about it, it was something I wanted to do. And so my brother saw it one day, and he was like, "Oh, you need a drum set." So he took one of his saxophones and traded it to Philip Bailey, and Philip gave him a drum set for me, and that was my first drum set. Yeah. So yeah, and I tell that story all the time. I got my first drum set from Philip Bailey. It was a snare. Um, it was a snare, one mounted tom. I don't remember if there was a floor tom, bass drum, and some hi hats. And so I learned my first beat on that kit and practiced in the basement, until it fell apart.
How did you get out? How did you get around town as a kid and start learning playing and start digging and stuff?
Well, I didn't have to get out. I didn't have to get out around town. One thing about having an older brother and musician friends, they would sometimes practice in our basement. So I could I could grab things from people there, but like Philip played drums, so I could grab things from him. And then the drummer that they were using at the time, his name was Larry Thompson, and I could grab stuff from him. And then there was just records, and so I would sit in the basement with my drum kit and records and what people had taught me and just go at it for as long as I could, you know.
You ever get a chance to tell Philip Bailey that he was responsible for giving you your first kid?
Oh, he knows. I don't even have to tell him. He knows. I mean, that's my other big brother, and other people have told him that too. Separate from me. They go like, "Yeah, Daryl said, that he got his first drum set from you," and he goes, "Yeah, that was a long time ago." But yeah, it was a long time ago. So we're talking 50 years ago. At least 50 years ago. Yeah.
Take me to high school. What was going on? What was the scene with drums in high school?
Drums in high school? Well, yeah. Actually, what was it? Back then, high school was 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So ninth grade slash 10th grade, I got my first drum set, which I mean, my kind of semi-pro drum set, which I sent you the picture of today, Ludwig. My father bought it for my birthday because I'd already wore out the Philip Bailey kit. and um, and and so eventually, like my high school years were split up because of busing, and so um, first year I was at the school I wanted to be at, and so I was involved in a music program, choir, band, orchestra, and then the second year I didn't want to be there, so I didn't involve myself in any of that, but I was still playing drums. I just kept it to myself, and then the third year, when my senior year, then I got back involved in marching band and stage band, jazz band, and orchestra. But during those times, like especially 12th grade, I was already in a band that was doing army bases, NCO clubs, and stuff like that. So I was just trying to get it in, get in the beats and get in the clubs. I used to hang out at the clubs, uh, at the bars, sneak in, and watch my favorite players around town, around Denver, and then there was a band, probably one of the best unsigned bands back in that day, called Clyde, Nim and Her. They were out of Kansas City. Yeah, they were out of Kansas City. Clyde, Nim and Her. Drummer's name was Neckbone. And funky, just pocket funky. Neckbone. He was like subtly funky.
Tell me, how did you start playing drums barefooted and they call you the Barefoot Ninja?
I actually gave myself that name recently. I've had all kinds of barefoot names, but the one I like the best is Foots, Footz. Um, just really, honestly, if I can remember back, too many Tarzan movies. I just really as a kid, Ron Ely running through the jungle in his bare feet, And you just try to do stuff like that. And so, I was just that kid. But then also having basements in Colorado, I would wake up from bed and go right into the room where I had drums and play barefooted. And then I was asked to play with shoes on, and I would play with them, but I'm going like, it don't feel right. It don't feel right. And then I took my shoes off, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is what it is, because this is the way I practice at home. So, I just kept it up, and what was really crazy was like people accepted me for that. So I could be with an orchestra with a tuxedo on and no shoes on. You know, when I started with Gladys at the Flamingo, they bought me some shoes and that had the backs out, so I could walk up on stage with the shoes on and slip them off and slip them back on. I still have those shoes too. So I haven't, and especially in recent years, nobody's ever told me I had to play with shoes on.
Let's talk about your credits a little bit. One of the ones that was intriguing to me, how did you get that Johnny Gill gig, and what was that like?
Woo! Well, that was a cattle call. That was a cattle call of however many drummers for however many days, and I forgot what it was, either SIR. It wasn't SIR, so it had to be Center Stage.
What was it like working with him?
Man, it was incredible. You know what? He was impressive. He was one of the impressive ones in my career. Johnny could play everything, and at that time, because we're talking like 93, 94, Johnny could play everything, and he could do it all day. He could sing all day. And so it was impressive. He would play guitar, or he'd play bass in between time, or he'd come and play drums, and and he'd sing his behind off. But it was a lot of work. It was like I was practicing, but Johnny Gill was like boot camp for me, because that was my first 12 hours rehearsal type of situation. It was the first one. And so the first, we're learning songs, 1 or 2 songs a day. And then once we got the show down, it was an hour and a half show, a half-hour break from 12 to 12. And I was going home, soaking in Epsom salt, praying to God, and the only thing you had to do was get Johnny Gill's music in your subconscious.
Tell me about the Gladys Knight gig. How did you get that gig?
We did a Gladys Knight, Jeffery Osborne tour, which was fun. And so Scott Kennedy was playing bass for both artists. So after the tour was over, Daniel Bejarano called me to sub for him. And so went in and played the gig. Benjamin Wright was the MD. Everybody from the tour was there, so I knew the guys, And then I come back and I'm playing back with Jeffrey Osborne. So Gladys Knight decides to play at the Flamingo, get a house gig at the Flamingo. But the prerequisite is that you had to move to Las Vegas. And a lot of her old band didn't want to leave LA to move to Las Vegas to play at the Flamingo. So they had to replace parts. Scott Kennedy became the musical director. And I went out and auditioned, you know, and got the call back.
Got a license to kill, and you know I'm going straight for your heart.
Let's talk about endorsements. What drums are you playing? What endorsements are you doing?
Well, Darryl Woolfolk, as of last year, endorses DW Drums. Yeah, Zildjian for probably 30 years. Yeah, Sticks and Cymbals. Porter and Davies drum seat, which something I can't live without because it puts that bottom into my behind, and I can adjust it to where it evenly matches with the in-ears now. And I don't know, what else do I endorse? Is it on the paper?
I'll give you a few people that'll be really mad at you if you don't say their name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Remo. Oh, Lord, yeah.
Chris gonna give you a call.
I know. Hey, let me tell you, Remo and Zildjian have been there for me forever. Those are my endorsements.
We do a thing on the show that we call Word of Advice, where I ask the drummers, where I ask the guests if they would leave a word of advice for the up-and-coming drummers, the guys that are trying to get traction in this business, as well as the guys that's already at the next level. Would you leave a word of advice, please?
Okay, one of my other great mentors, Jonathan Sugarfoot Moffett. I used to talk to him on the phone before I got my first tour because he was doing what I wanted to do. And this was the best advice he gave me that I give to anybody, whether you're a drummer or a keyboard player or whatever, and you want to keep a gig. Play what's on the record. It's there for a reason. If they asked you to give you more, give them more, give them more. If they asked you to give them less, give them less. And that's my advice.
Wow.
You have to, at some point, realize that musically, especially if you're playing for an artist, that you're a servant. But you're there because of your facilities. So learn to serve. Play what they ask you to play, not what you want to play. Give them more if they asked you. Give them less if they asked you. It'll keep you working.
Darryl, would you ever, or have you ever, but would you ever do your own CD?
I'm kind of working on that right now. You know, with COVID going on, and I have all this time. I'm learning Logic Audio and just bought a few plugins and stuff, and I'm actually kind of doing that right now, and I'm trying to figure out. I think I'm gonna do more of the Norman Connors approach, opposed to because there's like so much flash in the drum world right now, you know, that it makes me tired, you know. So if I can put something together, which I have started, and call on some of the people that I've worked with throughout the industry to be guest artists, guest musicians, I think it would be a great product. I even got a name for the product, but we'll wait for that later. It's pretty funny.
I want the exclusive.
Yeah, I'll tell you off camera.
I was telling, well, I won't say that, but another drummer is trying to do his thing, and I asked him, I said, can I have the exclusive when it's time?
Yeah.
So I'll extend that invitation to you. When it's time, let us be the first to hear it, because I just believe that just everything you bring to the industry and to a drum kit, man, for you to be the star, for you to be the principal, it coming from you, I know it's gonna be, Oof.
It's just gonna be music, you know. Like I said, I can't do what all these kids do, but music is music, you know.
You've said so many things on this interview that I wanted to write down. That was one of them. Music is the music. It's music. I'm gonna call that Wolferisms.
Footisms. That's what you call
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Footisms. Before I let you go here,
Isn't that a Frankie Beverly and Mays song?
could be. It could be.
It does before I let go.
Oh,
Okay.
Darryl, how would you like your legacy to play out? How would you like it to be said?
I would like my legacy to play out to that I was a good drummer, but I was a better person. And if you don't remember me as a drummer, remember me, my person, my heart. And that's it. And my faith, probably even before that, you know, that I wasn't a church cat, but I was a disciple of Christ.
Can't let you go, boy. I just can't let you go. Let me say, go ahead.
No, I said, what else you got for me?
I was gonna say thank you so much. I've held you up long enough here. Thank you so very much for being on the Extraordinary Drummer Show.
It was my pleasure, man. It's my pleasure, really.
You help me wave goodbye to all the fans?
Goodbye, au revoir, Wiedersehen, all them languages y'all know that you travel to. You know, hey, it's been a pleasure. You know, and Cheron is an extraordinary drummer too. So, you know, stop playing.
I never thought I'd live long enough to hear Darryl say that to me, boy. Even though it's not true. Not around you.
Come on, I remember when you was banging drums back there. You had gigs and I didn't have gigs. Stop playing.
Darryl. I know for sure that when I came into this town, there was some upper echelons names that were so entrenched, so embedded in town that, you know, you just one, you stayed out of their way. Two, you picked up what you could from them, and you just waited for your turn. And you were one of those guys, and I knew it, and I just waited my turn, and I watched you, and I just said, he's so clean. And I said, I'm gonna stay in my lane. I'm just keeping my head down, grinding. And one day I looked up and Darryl said, hi, Cheron. And I said, oh, wow, he knows me.
Yeah.
I love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Oh, other one. There you go.
Use them, Darryl.
Use whatever one you want.